Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the HAC podcast series. We have with us today Advocate Anurag Kalavatiya. Sir is a HNLU alumnus belonging to the very first batch of the college. Sir is the founding partner of Amicus Legal, law firm based out of Jaipur. He has more than 13 years of experience in the field and has dealt with matters concerning taxation, arbitration, securities, general corporate, and has advised various NBFCs, industrial groups, and companies. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sir, it's great having you here. So today's topic is with respect to it's with respect to getting some knowledge with regards to litigation and intricacies with respect to litigation, so that we can help out first generation lawyers, because for second generation and third generation there's always their kin to help them. But for first generation lawyers, it's usually a very hard way around to get to know about how to go around with litigation. So, sir, I'm very thankful to you to join us here for this podcast. So, sir, before starting with the formal questioning, I just want to know. Previously, we had Mr. Adarsh Varghese with us for the first episode. So he shared some of the fond memories about the college and how he ended up in HNLU in the very first place. So sir, I'll also ask you the same question. So if you have any fond memories about a college, and how did you end up in HNLU? Because during the time when you were pursuing law, there was no CLAT per se. So yes, sir, please.
So yeah, Yashvardhan, thank you so much. So yes, obviously, I would start by saying, first of all, HNLU happened by chance. You know, so in fact, when in 2002 I passed out from my senior secondary, my 12th standard, and thereafter I was preparing for various law school examinations. At that time, there was no CLAT, so we used to prepare. We used to fill forms for every other law school. And at that time HNLU was the sixth law school which opened. Right? Today I think more than 20 law schools are there, but back then only five were there. Fifth was NLU Jodhpur, and sixth was HNLU Raipur. So HNLU Raipur opened in 2003, and we that time we were preparing for various other law school examinations. We had filled the forms also for NUJS, for Nalsar, for NLU Jodhpur, and in between suddenly HNLU examination came up, because at that time we had two examinations per year, one for the July batch and one for the December batch. So I belong to the first December batch of HNLU. That is, if you say it, you can call it the second batch, or otherwise, if you call it year wise, that was the first year batch of December of HNLU. So this examination came up in between in September, and as we were preparing, so we just gave the examination, and to our luck, around 15 to 16 people got selected from Rajasthan. And suddenly, when it came up, our this coaching center was run by a person, Mr. Sagar Sharma. He's very famous in Rajasthan for these CLAT and all. So he told us, why don't you join? And so we told him, sir, we are already preparing for NLU Jodhpur or NLS or maybe Nalsar or other law schools. This is a new law school, and how can we go there? So he said, see, all the law schools apart from NLS are new. They have all come up in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So it doesn't matter if you go to NLU Jodhpur or if you go to NLU Raipur. It's NLU basically. So that's how we 15 to 16 people from Jodhpur. We were all studying, preparing at Career World. We all ended up at Raipur, and then Raipur became our home for the next 5 years. And guys, that time this new campus was not there. हमारे सामने तो ये कभी it never came up. So we studied in the city campus of NLU Raipur, HNLU Raipur. And in the first 2.5 years, our hostel was at the VIP Chalk, I think. Yes, VIP Chalk. Uh, the road which goes to the airport from this side. So we had our hostel at that very place. And now at that place, whenever I come to Raipur and when I visit there, there is a CRPF uh, society over there. CRPF people are personnel are residing there with their families. So that time this was a new building, and we and the batch of the first batch, that is Adarsh Varghese batch, we both were there in the in that building. And when we entered the building for the first day after our admission, that building was in complete, such a situation that our parents got scared. कि यार ये बच्चे को कहाँ भेज दिया हमने. But yes, nevertheless, so thereafter, देखो, we were all young, 17, 18-year-old people, but it was a fabulous time, we spent there for the next 2.5 years. It was like it was just next to the main highway. So we used to be there after college and then going to the dhabas to eat, have late night dinners, going to the uninvited weddings. So we did all of that for the next 2.5 years, and going for the night rides. I mean, I don't know whether I should be talking about all these things or not, but yes, those were the best fond memories. So if you call about our law school times, the best fond memories are of the hostel or of the we have shared with our friends. So from thereafter, in the third year, we got shifted to another hostel at Davra Colony, which is totally on the other side of Raipur. And in the last semester also, our hostel got changed to some third place, which I don't remember. So yes, in 5 years we changed three hostels, three completely different places. But with friends, it was all good. It was always the best of the memories. चाहे वो आप इधर ले लो या उधर ले लो. So तीनों hostel में we had a tremendous, fabulous time.
So, so because I got to know about this, the constant change of hostels when I was talking with Mr. Adarsh Varghese.
Hmm.
So, do you miss the old campus, hustle, or would you have preferred the new campus, comfort and the constant, a consistent place to stay at? So, what would you have preferred if you were in the present situation?
See, we always wanted that before we pass out, we should at least have get to spend some time at the new campus, because obviously the new campus was outside the city. It was a very big campus at that time, and one of the biggest campuses was coming up in the entire Raipur city. Uh, I believe, apart from the main university in Raipur, no other campus was that big. So we always wanted that yes, we should spend some time. But having said that, I would also say that the time we spent in our old campus was also phenomenal. The building you see today, if you people go to Raipur, the main city, this campus was situated just between the Raj Bhavan, that is governor's house, and the police headquarters. So we had such a fabulous area to be there around. Uh, One side we had foolproof security. This side we had all the political things going on at every moment of time. And then the civil court, the city civil court of Raipur, was also stone's throw away, hardly at the Ghadi Chowk. That campus was, I mean, still whenever I visit, I try and go there every time. But nowadays we are not allowed inside because the CRPF and BSF and various these paramilitary forces have their offices there. So we are not allowed to go inside. But at least whenever I visit Raipur, I make sure that I just go and see my alma mater. I
So
mean
it's
that
totally.
that that's still that thing is still there. कि college Raipur गए हो तो college देख के आना है. And college for me is still the old campus. I once visited the new campus also around 3 years back, but I couldn't that feel only. I couldn't get that feel because everything was new. I mean, there were people around there who were there even at our times. Some administration people were there, so they remembered us still. That was a very good thing. But still, when I look back, the old campus is the campus which I can memorize in my even in my dreams, even if I think about HNLU.
So I'll just go way past to the initial days of HNLU. So I just wanna ask you. So what made you choose law? I mean, because there was no guiding, a guiding factor per se, and you were the very first batch, so you didn't have any seniors for that matter as well. So following to that, I also wanna know, what motivated you to get into litigation? Was it, your initial plan, or was there something that ignited that fire inside of you? Parallel to that, I also want to know, like, do you think that an early start in litigation can, provide that much needed boost for first generation lawyers?
So see, litigation didn't was not the first choice for me. I mean, I would very hesitantly I would say. So in the last year when I was in HNLU, I got a pre-placement offer from PwC. I was interning in the last semester at Pricewaterhouse in my ninth semester. So I interned there for some good 2.5 months. And that time I had nothing in my mind. So from my paternal side, though I am the first generation lawyer, but in my maternal side, I had three generations of lawyers in my maternal grandfather, my nana, his father. So there was a long legacy of lawyers. But yes, coming back to my father's side, there was no lawyer, there was no law in my family, but some genes from the maternal side were always there. So that first of all made me choose law. I mean, after 12th I had no idea that I would be going for the law. I was probably thinking about doing chartered accountancy, CA. But in between, some of my friend told me, we were studying together in 12th standard. So he told me, Anurag, let's go for NLU examination, because his brother got selected at NLU Jodhpur. So he told me, my brother has got selected at NLU Jodhpur. We should also try. So me and him, we started preparing together. Eventually, he dropped out, and I continued. And so he today is still a businessman in Jaipur, and I came out to become a lawyer. So because of him, I still give my credit, the credit to for me to go into the law field. I still give the credit to my that friend of mine. So yes, once I entered law school, initially, so see, I would also say these days, after 15-20 years of all these law schools, today's kids, today's students have become much wiser. I mean, in comparison to what we were 20 years back. So in fact, uh, at that time, in the first 3 4 5 years, I had no inclination towards going for litigation. Obviously, that aura was always there about law firms, about corporate, about Delhi, Bombay, interning. So I always interned mostly at Delhi and Bombay. In last year, when I got a pre-placement offer from PwC, this was the first, I think, first pre-placement offer in my batch for me. Second was my friend Devanshu. He also got a pre-placement offer at Amarchand, I believe, AZB. And thereafter, few also other people have also got pre-placement offers. So when I got this pre-placement offer, it was a big thing for me also, and in the college also it was a buzz that I've got a pre-placement offer. I joined PwC just within 7 days of completing the law school. We passed out in November, around 15, 16 November, and from 1st December I joined PwC. But having worked there for around a year, I somehow lost it. I mean, I thought to myself, what am I doing? What am I doing sitting? See, I'm not against any corporate practice or any person working in a law firm or or in a big four or anything, but it's personal. So after having worked for 10, 11, 12 months, somehow I thought to myself, yeah, what am I doing? Working for somebody else, preparing briefs, preparing things which I don't get to argue, preparing things which I don't even get to go to the courts, because this was a completely consultancy firm, and we were not even allowed to go to any courts or to any tribunals. We just had to research and do things. That was not bad, but my some inner calling told me that no, Anurag, you can't be doing this. So that's how I prepared myself. I told my parents that I want to come back to Jaipur. There was a lot of hue and cry at that time in my family also. You are leaving such a great job. You are leaving a well-paying job for yourself. You will become a partner some years down the line. You will have such a great future in PwC, this and that. But I didn't listen, and thankfully I didn't listen. Today I can thank myself that I didn't listen, and I came back to Jaipur in 2010, having worked for around 1 year, 8 9 months, 10 months around. I came back to Jaipur, and then, but yes, uh, at the same time, I would answer your question that when a new first generation lawyer should enter the litigation field, should he just at the start of the career should he just jump in? My answer to that would be no, because when I joined in the year 2010, when I came back to Jaipur, I had this option available with me that I can join some senior counsel in Jaipur, his office, his chamber I can join, and or maybe my maternal side had some connections because they were all lawyers. So initially this plan was there, and I should join High Court with some senior counsel. But I chose otherwise. I joined a law firm in Jaipur instead, because that law firm also had a good tax practice in various courts and tribunals around the entire state and even various states. That law firm was Chiramrit. So I joined there in 2010 August, I believe, and then I worked there for good 3.5 years till 2013 end. I was there. So having worked there, the atmosphere over there was also superb, and while working there, I got to argue matters at various forums, starting from the administrative levels like CIT, the Commissioner Income Tax Appeals, because that firm had major tax practice. So I got to argue matters at Commissioner Appeal levels, at direct and indirect tax departments. Then I got to argue matters at ITAT, Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. Then I argued matters at High Court, Bombay High Court, Delhi High Court, Jaipur High Court, Jodhpur High Court. Some matters obviously where my senior was not appearing and where the stakes were low, where my senior thought it proper that yes, Anurag can go and argue. And even I argued 2 3 matters at Supreme Court at that time, and thankfully I didn't get a bad order in any of those matters. So that confidence got built in that yes, I can do litigation, I can go and argue matters in courts. So in 2013 October I left Chiranmrit, and then I along with my present partner Mr. Daga, Sushil Daga, we were together in the earlier firm also. We both came out and we established Amicus Legal in 2013 end, in October 2013 end. Sushil joined later on after 6 months. I started in 2013. Sushil joined 2014 after 6 months, and then rest is the journey. You can see we are in 2022 today, and so rest
So,
is history.
so following this, I also wanted to know. So, would you prefer, like, if I want to pursue litigation, so would you prefer someone to first of all go and see the corporate scenario, or you would advise him to go and directly work with a senior counsel or an advocate, or go for a juniorship for 2 or 3 years? So, what would be your advice?
See, my advice on that would be, since I have this diverse experience of earlier working with a corporate, which is one of the biggest law consultancy firms in the world, rather, having worked over there, then I came and joined a law firm here, which was into majorly into tax practice and non-litigation also. Thereafter, having started on my own, and in between till 2020, I was the standing counsel for the state government also and the central government also. 3 years tenure I did with state government as the standing counsel, and for good 4 years I was the standing counsel for the central government also. So, but having said this, I would say, or rather in my opinion, if you want to start your litigation in a tier 2 city like Jaipur, maybe, or maybe Bilaspur, or maybe cities like Indore, or maybe cities like Allahabad, I mean, apart from the metropolitan city, in my view, a student or a law aspirant or new lawyer should take experience from bigger cities, because you always have a better such a wide variety of work in such big cities like Delhi, Bombay, or Bangalore, or maybe Hyderabad. So, in my view, if you want to start litigation in a smaller city, in a high court or in a sessions court, you should always first go and see the outside world. What is happening in the bigger cities? What kind of litigation is being pursued in the bigger cities? How the lawyers are developing their skills in bigger cities? You'd always find a big difference in litigation also, litigation practice also in such cities, in the tier 1 and tier 2 cities. And even if you get some law firm experience, as a corporate law firm experience, that is even also a better experience for you, because some years down the line, I would say the time has come where the independent practice would not be a very preferred practice henceforth. Rather, the time has already come. Since last 5 7 10 years, we are seeing now no new lawyers are coming up with their independent practices. Either they are joining hands with each other, they are joining hands with like-minded people, and they are opening law firms. So if you want to start a law firm some years down the line, having earned 8 to 10 years of experience or 5 7 years experience, if you want to start a law firm, it is always better that you should work in a bigger law firm first. That gives you an idea how to run a setup. That gives you an idea how to tackle your clients. that gives you an idea how to behave with your clients. Because when we see here, that kind of decorum which a bigger law firm or a bigger setup possesses in terms of handling their clients, that is not there as of now in many tier 2 city lawyers. So for a young lawyer, if you want to come for litigation, I would recommend first go work at least for 2 3 years, maybe in High Court, Supreme Court of a bigger city, I mean Supreme Court at Delhi, or in a bigger High Court, and then come back to your own High Court, or work in a law firm, get some litigation or even non-litigation experience. I would say even getting a non-litigation experience is also not bad, even if you want to come down to the litigation field. For this is only for a first generation lawyer, because a second generation lawyer, Yashwardhan, you are also a second generation guy, I know. So you have seen your father with briefs since the very beginning. You have seen your father with books since the very beginning, right? You have seen him talking about matters since the very beginning. But for a first generation lawyer, this everything is new. So till the time he doesn't or she doesn't work with a bigger setup, the, the kind of experience which you get as a fresher in litigation is not very encouraging as on date, I would say.
So what's your take? Like, if I say that I am going for a corporate law firm job, I've decided to, go for a corporate law firm job for 2 years to get an experience out of it. So for that, I have to specialize in a particular area as well. I have to choose a team. For
Yeah.
example, general corporate, merger acquisition, competition. So with respect to that, so what are your views regarding specialization? I mean, if I prefer to choose just a single field of law, like competition for that matters.
Yeah.
If I choose competition and I want to establish my litigation practice in competition itself, is it a great idea? Because this particular question is subsisting to another question wherein whether LLM is also an important factor with respect to litigation, because many of us always tend to hear that LLM, like judges won't ask you about your LLM degree, or judges, even for that matter, judges won't ask you about your NLU degrees. They just want to know how you deal with the case in front of them. So, what are your views with respect to specialization in a particular area?
See, on that, I would say specialization is always good. I mean, and having seen the litigation practice in the last 10 12 years, I would say today the time is of specialization. Earlier, you would see lawyers doing, I mean, matters of all kinds. A single lawyer is doing a criminal matter also. At the same time, he's doing a civil matter also. He's doing an arbitration matter also. His office is handling 8 10 kind of matters. That was possible maybe in a general setup where you have general clients to deal with, where you have not very high paying clients coming to you, where you are doing service matters also in high court, and at the same time someone comes to you with a criminal matter or a bail matter, you would take that. So that was a general practice which is prevalent in various high courts even till date. I would not say this has ended. This is still prevalent, but still in my view, the time is today, the time is of specialization totally. You would see in bigger cities, if a law firm is specializing in GST, in indirect tax matters, then they are totally doing indirect tax matters. If a litigation firm is specializing in intellectual property matters, then they are doing intellectual property matters. They are arguing their own matters also. They are doing briefing, everything. I mean, preparing briefs, arguing matters, everything they are doing regarding that. But as an individual lawyer, if you want to start your own practice, first of all, my take is in today's times or in the times to come, the time is not there to just start your own practice individually. If you belong to a family of lawyers, then that's a separate thing, because you have a whole background to look upon. But if you're an individual first generation lawyer, then I believe time is not there to today's time is not proper to start individual practice as such. But having pooled resources, having pooling the resources with other people, you should if you start a firm, litigation firm also, litigation practice also, it is always better that you should have some specialization, even if it is in arbitration, even if it is in direct tax, even if it is in indirect tax, if it is in general corporate, even if it is in competition law. So there are some subjects where you would not find very lucrative practice in smaller cities. Like you said, competition law. So you would not find a very lucrative practice for competition law in cities like Jaipur or in Bilaspur or in Indore or in Allahabad. You would only find lucrative practice, like maybe for that matter, CB matters. Maybe for that matter, maritime law matters. All these matters are there majorly in bigger cities like Chennai, Bombay, Delhi, intellectual property. So for a smaller city also today, even if you want to do litigation, some sort of specialization should be there. And as far as LLM is concerned, talking about LLM, see, in the last 12 years, nobody ever asked me about my LLM as far as a lawyer is concerned, a litigating lawyer is concerned. But at the same time, studying to any extent, even if you want to come to law, litigation practice is not bad. Rather, it adds to your experience. But at the same time, when we passed out in 2002, 2007, 8, at that time, people used to take NLU students very differently. People used to ask, oh, you are from NLU. So that was a different time, 12 years, 15 years down the line, when people used to think that, yes, NLU students are better. But today, every other student is coming from a 5-year law school, right? And rather, there are some private law schools which are even considered better than than national law schools. So today, that time is not there that people think that NLU students are more better than any other student. But yes, at the same time, uh, LLM doing LLM for litigation is not at all necessary. No judge would ask you, no lawyer would ask you that if you are an LLM holder, you are a better lawyer. But it always adds to the value at the same time.
So, sir, with respect to that as well, if I am going for a specialized area, so how will I, survive in this field? I'll take arbitration as an example because
Mhm.
that's the subject that intrigues me. So, taking arbitration as an example, so if I go to a tier one city like Bombay and I start my own arbitration practice, but I'll turn out to be a rather a depressing fact that I'll get to know about a depressing fact that majority of the big cases or majority of the cases for that matters are being dealt by either tier one law firms or bigger advocates. So so my personal view, if I can, if so for the lawyers who are budding, who are on the very initial steps of starting a litigation, I mean, specialization can always be there, but is it plausible or is it good in your eyes that if I'm starting my litigation, I should always go for I can always argue any matter for that matters. I mean, I can argue criminal cases, I can take up civil
Definitely.
cases. So it's
Definitely. I never said that specialization means you should stop doing all matters. I only said specialization is always good. Having specialization in a particular field is always good. But at the same time, taking your question, if a new lawyer, if when 12 years down the line, when I started 10 like I let's talk about 2013 when I opened my own office, Amicus Legal. The first matter which we got was of a medical admission case, medical SMS Medical College admission case. It was a PG students matter. Before that, I had no link whatsoever with service matters or with admission matters because for good 5 years I was doing tax practice at PwC and in Jaipur also with the other law firm. I never had any such experience. But in 2013, when this first matter came to us through some friend of mine or through some, I think, some relative, I did left no stone unturned to make sure that I get the entire hang of the matter. I research about the matter throughout. I research about everything which is possible under the sun about this medical university admission cases and everything. And this was the first case which we contested and we won also for all those students. So before that, my only experience or my specialized was only tax. But for a newcomer, if I'm getting 50,000 rupees as a fees in a admission in a litigation matter, I cannot say no to that, or rather, I should not say no to that. So I did that. I mean, we did various matters throughout. Earlier, we did criminal matters also. We did family matters also. But over the time, over the years now, uh, now is the time, or rather, last 3 4 years, we have thought it proper to abstain ourselves from doing some matters. Like we don't do family matters nowadays. I thought let's my juniors do it. Let my juniors do it. Let my other teammates do it, rather than me going and arguing those matters. Let criminal matters be dealt with my civil court team instead of me going and arguing. So over the years you can always distance yourself from some matters if you want to specialize yourself in one particular field. So that's what I said. Initial specialization is not bad because it helps you later on in building your practice in a particular field. But at the same time, initially you get any matter, you get smallest of the matter, you should argue. You should not leave any matter as a
So,
litigator.
sure, sir. So, moving ahead to the next question. So, as a practicing advocate, where do you see the gap to be filled between textbook knowledge imparted in law school and practical outlook that litigation actually requires?
See, this question has been discussed in various seminars, around the over the years, last maybe more than 100 years, where since the time people are practicing, studying law and coming to practice, this question has always been there. The difference between the book knowledge and the practical knowledge, and this gap was there and still there. But in today's times, I would say the gap has decreased a little bit. I would say because nowadays the law students get to intern in various law firms, courts, tribunals, etc. They go and see proceedings in various courts in their 5 year tenure. So जो एक 10 साल 20 साल पहले एक नया लॉयर आता था किसी भी लिटिगेशन प्रैक्टिस को ज्वाइन करने के लिए, फॉर हिम द एक्सपीरियंस वाज टोटली डिफरेंट. जो एक बुक में पढ़ के आता था और जो कोर्ट में आर्ग्यू होता है इज टोटली डिफरेंट. एंड बट टुडे law students who are interning in good places, like maybe good places means even if you're practicing with a good lawyer at a civil court, or maybe at a high court or supreme court or any other law firm, litigating law firm, you get that hang of the entire thing. And then you also understand that there's a big difference between what we read in law school, law in law books, and how we deal with matters in courts. In courts, it's not always about the bookish knowledge which you carry, which you possess. It's about your the arguments, also what you put forth. It's about thinking on the feet. It's rather, I mean, arguing in courts is more about your how fast you can think on your feet, rather than just cramping a matter in your mind and reading a file at office and then thinking that I would only argue this matter in this fashion. If you come up to the court, like what how we do in moot courts. In moot courts, we used to argue matters, first going through the entire problem, making that memorial, and then we used to present it as if we have just uh, uh, memorized everything in that. But you can always see in moot courts also, when the judges starts asking questions to you, which is totally different from the arguments which you are putting forth, you get to get off track. Same thing happens in litigation. So in litigation, one thing is always there, that what you read should not is not always the case in the courts. Is not always the case that you will only get to argue what you have read in your brief, or in your books, or in your matters. It is more about the practical aspect. It is more about answering the judge's question. Sometimes you know everything about a matter, but the judge wants to ask something else which is not even concerned with that matter. He just wants to test your knowledge. And if you are unable to do that, that judge would not the judge would not be in a better position, or he may not want to give you that relief. He would give you a date that go and read this and then come back. So yes, this difference is always there. It's more about your practical knowledge. It's more about thinking on the feet, that how you become a good lawyer.
So, moving on to the next question, how do you think it is to establish one's own independent practice? And I mean, if you can explain this through your example, how did you manage to engage and retain clients in early years of practice?
So This is a very important question for a litigator. I mean, rather for everyone. See, retaining clients is a very, very, tedious task, or rather a very uh, important task for any lawyer or a law firm. For I mean, practicing in law field. So yes, your clients always wants your time. See, what I've seen over the years is, if you satisfy your client by just talking to him for 2 minutes, if you can, till the time you don't give time to a client. See, there are hundreds of clients there, and there are all different types of clients. In the last 12 years, 13 years, I have dealt with maybe more than 1,000 clients, right? Maybe. And I would say every one of them was having some different thought process, some different style of thinking, some different traits, everything. So dealing with all of them, see, that's why a litigating lawyer knows how to deal with a person in a much better way than a law firm lawyer, than a corporate lawyer. Because there you only get to deal with highly educated people, only with people who are at the top of the tier in those corporates. But here, as a litigator, you get to deal with a criminal also. You get to deal with a person who is hitting his wife also. You get to deal with a person who is thief also. You get to deal with a person who is a cyber criminal, who has done fraud with the bank, or even who is himself a victim of some other crime happening. So when you deal with so many mindsets, it always makes you a much better thinker as compared. This is my own view. I mean, I would not say that this is the truth or the reality, but this is my view, that you always become a better thinker, or a better you always develop better understanding about people's mindset. So retaining clients, having coming back to the point, how to retain clients, I have seen over the years that clients always only want one thing, that whenever they call or whenever they give you a matter, you should listen to them with utmost sincerity. This is the one thing they want. I've always seen the clients which are still there with me since last 8, 10, 12 years. Those are the clients which, when they entered my office, we listened to them so carefully that even if they want 2 hours from me, I would give them uninterrupted 2 hours. I would make them feel कि वकील साहब मेरा मैटर समझ गए. यू नो कई बार क्या होता है कि कई क्लाइंट्स बहुत ज्यादा इस चीज पे उखड़ जाते हैं कि मैं आया था सर से मिलने, एंड सर वाज हाफ द टाइम ऑन फोन ओनली. ही वाज अटेंडिंग टू 10 कॉल्स. सो सर डिडंट लिसन टू, बिकॉज क्लाइंट को हमेशा क्या लगता है कि मैं जो बता रहा हूँ ना वो इनको समझ में नहीं आया अभी तक. आप उसको जब ये फील करा दोगे ना कि सर जो आप बोल रहे हो ना, दैट एवरीथिंग आई हैव लिसन टू केयरफुली एंड आई वुड प्रेजेंट द वे यू वांट इट, द क्लाइंट इज रिटेन्ड. That's about a new client. And about an existing client who is there over the years with you, they always want that you should keep uh, constant touch with them. कभी किसी क्लाइंट से 2-3 महीने से बात ही नहीं हुई है, एंड व्हेन यू गो बैक टू देम एंड आस्क अबाउट द ओल्ड फीस, दे वुड ऑलवेज टेल यू कि सर आप आजकल तो बात ही नहीं होती है आपसे, आप तो बिजी रहते हो बहुत ज्यादा. क्योंकि उनके पास एक बहाना आता है कि यार आपके पास टाइम नहीं है. सो getting always in touch, I mean, being in touch with your existing clients is a very big key to get to make them retain with you for a longer duration. And whenever they come to meet you, I always try as a lawyer. I mean, in अभी जयपुर जैसे cities में इतना बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है कि we are having all online meeting with the clients. अभी भी बहुत सारे 80-90% clients यहाँ पे physically मिलना चाहते हैं आके. उनको शाम को ये लगता है कि शाम को फ्री होके आए और मीटिंग सामने बैठ के मेरे को आधा घंटा मैटर समझाएंगे, सो आई वुड ऑलवेज अंडरस्टैंड इट बेटर. सो जब वो आते हैं तो वो मेरा आधा घंटा उनके लिए, मेरे लिए भी और उनके लिए भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. क्योंकि मुझे तो वो आधा घंटा इसलिए देना है क्योंकि मुझे वो क्लाइंट चाहिए या उसको रिटेन रखना है, और उसको वो इसलिए चाहिए कि सर ने मेरी बात ध्यान से सुन ली, या फिर मैंने जब फोन किया तो सर ने कॉल उठा लिया, और नहीं उठाया तो कॉल बैक कर लिया शाम से पहले. I always tell my juniors that never forget, these are the people who are earning for your monthly retainership fees. You know, only when they are paying that we are able to pay you, or that we are able to earn. So till the time you don't take up their calls, even if you are unable to take their calls at some time, maybe you are somewhere else, you are unable to pick up the calls, make sure that you call them back. Maybe at the end of the day, maybe the next day, and then you say that sir kal ye dikkat thi. The client will always remain with you.
So, sir, with respect to this, I just wanted to know whether national law universities have been, substantially, accurate or have been sufficient to provide, knowledge to the people. Because you might also have listened to many speeches given by CJIs across the universities, wherein he has mentioned that national law universities are not doing their part of churning out litigants and like big lawyers. They are churning out corporate slaves. So whether do you think that there is a pressing need to change the system of educating for jobs, or do you think the present system is fine?
See, I don't have much view on that because in the last 10, since the time we have passed out from college, I've not seen the structure, how the NLUs are designing their courses, how the NLUs are making their students go for a particular field. But yes, if we look at the statistics, we can see that more than 60-70% students are either going for the corporate jobs or for the judiciary. And if you add the judiciary part and the corporate part, you would say more than 80% are going for these. Either they are going for judicial services. Judicial services have become very lucrative over the years, and I see lot many newcomers are going for judicial services. I am totally against that. I mean, I still, when we discuss in our office also and in our peers also, I always say for a newcomer, for a 22-year-old guy to just give an RJS examination is easy. But to become a judge and deliver justice is totally opposite to that. You know, you have only learned bookish knowledge in your law school. You just come out, you are good in academics, and then you just prepare for RJS or maybe any other judicial service throughout the country. And then you eventually clear that examination and become a judge. The day you sit on that chair, your responsibility multiples 100 times, multifold, right? And then you can't deliver justice till the time you have seen people arguing, you have seen that pain of a lawyer, you have seen that pain of a litigant. You don't have that mindset only. मैं अभी भी कहता हूँ, I mean, I would know, I don't know how far this interview will go, but मैं अभी भी कहता हूँ कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट लॉयर्स जो बहुत ही टीयर 1 सिटीज से आते हैं, कई बार उनको भी एक टीयर 2 बहुत ही छोटे गांव के किसी एक छोटे आदमी का दर्द समझ में नहीं आता है, क्योंकि उन्होंने वो कभी देखा ही नहीं, वो पार्ट देश का उन्होंने देखा ही नहीं, वो जिसको एक इनजस्टिस हुआ है उससे वो देखा ही नहीं. आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट इनजस्टिस बहुत ज्यादा होता है, बट कई बार हमने देखा है कि खुद मैटर्स में ऐसा इनजस्टिस हो जाता है जहां पे अ जज कुड नॉट गेट. ये बहुत ज्यादा लोअर जुडिशरी में बहुत ज्यादा हो रहा है, जितने नए बच्चे आ रहे हैं, एंड अ 22, 23, 24-year-old guy or a girl becoming a lawyer, becoming a judge without practicing anywhere is not a good idea. Rather, as for ADJ examinations, that is RHJS, higher judicial services examinations throughout the country, there is an minimum experience requirement of 7 years and age of 35 years. I believe same criteria should be there somewhere, maybe 3 years practice or maybe 25 years of age. Some kind of experience criteria should be there even for lower judicial examinations. So that people come out, they practice with some lawyer for 2-3 years and then they give the examination. They'll always become a better judges. This is my own view. I mean, subject to always be different people have different thought process about this.
But I also see this pattern because I've observed high court proceedings, and I've observed the environment of high court in general. So majority of the seats in Rajasthan High Court itself, if I'm not wrong, it's majorly of the judges who have practiced law previously. They are from the advocate quota itself. There
Yes.
are very less quantity of judges who get elevated from the lower judiciary.
No
So I
judiciary.
think there's a pattern there. So I also totally agree with this, that there is a pressing need to go for a practice. So what do you think, like,
But
if
at the same time, I mean, before we proceed forward, if I answer your question about that law firm, the law school's curriculum, how to, yes, there's always a need for good practicing lawyers, for good litigating lawyers in the country. If you see today, in the last 20 years, a lot of law firms have come up. 20 years back, even in Delhi, there were hardly 10, 20 good law firms. Today, you can find more than 50 or maybe more than 100 bigger law firms in Delhi. Same is the case with all other major cities. And back then, there was no concept of any law firm in tier 2 cities. Now, various law firms have come up in tier 2 cities also. So, accordingly, there's always a need because matters have also increased, tribunals have also increased, the litigation has increased many fold over the years. So, we always need good litigating lawyers. So, for a law school, it is always better that they, uh, during the curriculum also, they should call good lawyers for practical interaction with the students also. They should, from any high court, from the Supreme Court also, I mean, instead of calling judges, yes, the judges should always be called for interaction with the lawyers. But at the same time, good lawyers from bigger cities or from high courts or from even from civil courts who have good flourishing practice, they should always be called for dialogues with students. And this should happen more often. I mean, not maybe once a semester, but rather I would say every 15 days, every fortnight. So that students who are interested somewhere that I should go for litigation, उनका दिमाग खुलता है, उनका एक horizon बनता है कि नहीं मैं जा सकता हूँ. Because when they hear our stories, when they hear stories of other people, that how I ended up becoming a litigating lawyer, where I had no clue 5 years back, 5 years before that I will go for for litigation, they will always get inspired, and we always get inspired from examples only.
so
This is
I,
this
I
is this.
also I
Yeah.
also want your take on this, what you think about it. So it's a pretty off topic question. So the basic tenet of law is to an interpersonal connection and serving the society. Because if I'm not wrong, the in previous times, lawyers don't even used to ask for any fees. They used to have a band in their
Yes, yes.
court itself, wherein they just used to say that pay whatever you feel like. So it's a very noble profession. So do you think that legal aid provided by law schools, legal aid societies established in law schools, legal aid provided by law firms, is bridging the gap between lesser number of practitioners facilitating the needs of a poor, or do you think that there is a pressing need for litigators to serve the society?
See, for a law school or for any other, NGO providing legal aid to clients, that can, in my view, that can never bridge the gap. That can never bridge the gap. You people, yes, you always try. I have also seen when we were there in law in HNLU, we held some camps in villages also, and nowadays every other law school is organizing camps in rural areas, in poor areas, in slums, and all that. That's a very good thing. That's people over there, they don't understand even the ABC of law, and then they get entangled in several complexities, several legal matters where they don't even understand कि उनके साथ क्या होने वाला है. तो वहां पे आप लोग हेल्प तो करते हो उनकी, आप लोग उनको वहां पे कैंप्स लगाते हैं. एनजीओ बहुत सारे हैं देश में, अपनी कंट्री में, जो कि इस तरह की लीगल एड प्रोवाइड करते हैं. बट when these very people go to the courts, there a law school student cannot go and represent, right? There an NGO cannot go and represent. So there we always need. So what I would say is there is a need of joining hands between good litigators. I mean, more and more in number, and they should join hands with such facilitators. I would call you people who are holding such camps for law schools, all these NGOs who are holding camps and spreading legal awareness, legal education. I would say you people are facilitators for such poor people to get in touch with good lawyers. एक
So
बेचारे
does
छोटे
this
आदमी को
also
भी
go?
एक बेचारे गरीब आदमी को भी एक अच्छा वकील मिले, ये बहुत जरूरी है. Because हमने देखा है, see there is a file, just yes, here's the file. So this is one file which I got appointed as an amicus curiae by Honorable High Court day before yesterday itself. In that matter, there was a lawyer who was appearing way back in 1988-89. Now I don't know what happened to that lawyer. Also, I don't remember whether that lawyer is still there in High Court. And that this matter has never come up after some 95, 96. And these are old matters which are now High Court is trying to dispose of. So when no one is appearing, the High Court always wants that some good lawyer should represent सच ए पर्सन. क्या पता आज वो आदमी सजा भुगत के निकल भी चुका होगा, इट्स ए क्रिमिनल अपील. वो आदमी सजा भुगत के निकल भी चुका होगा या हो सकता मर भी चुका होगा. बट अगर उस आदमी के खिलाफ वो मैटर नहीं बनता था और मैंने उसके नाम को अगर आज हाई कोर्ट से उसकी अपील अलाउ करवा दी आफ्टर रीडिंग द मैटर, आफ्टर गोइंग थ्रू द मैटर एंड हैविंग हेल्प, आई मीन by way of my understanding of the matter, arguing the matter, if I get a favorable order for him, this will be a big thing for that particular person or for his family. कि चलो कभी किसी समय जाके उस आदमी को न्याय मिल पाया. समझो एक वो वर्ड बोलते हैं हमेशा कि न्याय मिलना जरूरी है. यू नो, न्याय किसी भी तरह का हो सकता है. आई मीन न्याय डजंट ऑलवेज मीन कि आप मैटर जीत गए. न्याय का मतलब ये होता है कि अगर आप हारे भी तो आपको जो चीज के लिए जिस चीज के लिए आपको सजा होनी थी वो नहीं हुई अगर, तो भी आपके लिए एक न्याय है. अगर आप ये कहते थे शुरू से कि मैं इसमें गुनहगार नहीं हूँ या फिर ये मैटर मेरे खिलाफ नहीं बनता है, तो अगर किसी कोर्ट ने आपको पार्टली अलाउ भी किया वो मैटर आपके फेवर में, देन ऑल्सो इट इज जस्टिस फॉर यू. सो ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हम अच्छे लोग लॉयर्स को लेके आए, साथ में अच्छे लिटिगेटिंग लॉयर्स आए, और साथ में ये जो आप लोग सारे जो सोसाइटी में हेल्पिंग नेचर वाले लोग, हेल्पिंग ये लीगल एड वाले लोग हैं, ये सब मिलके इस प्रोसेस को आगे बढ़ाएं.
So, sir, I know that you're a very busy man. So I just end this podcast with the last question. So any word of advice for our listeners who are planning to go for litigation? Because any last advice, I mean, how do you go with it? What any sort of motivation you want to give to them? So yeah.
See, as far as motivation is concerned and as far as how to go about it, I would say start the journey first, right? And for starting the journey, look at the people, read the books. I mean, आपके पास इतने अच्छे अच्छे एग्जाम्पल्स हैं फॉर लिटिगेटर्स, गुड लिटिगेटर्स. आपके पास इतनी अच्छी अच्छी बुक्स हैं. यू टॉक अबाउट फाली नरीमन, यू टॉक अबाउट हरीश साल्वे, you talk about, I mean, there are eminent lawyers in the country who were good litigating lawyers. You read the courtroom, what's that book name, the courtroom genius, right?
Totally.
The
Nanipal.
before memory fades, Justice Chagla's book. I mean, all these books, once you read, you get to know the past of I mean such huge successful litigating lawyers, and then start the journey. I mean, अगर मैं देखूंगा पिछले 10-12 साल में मेरे पास बहुत सारे जूनियर्स अब आके, मतलब सिंस 2013 बहुत सारे जूनियर्स आए, निकल भी गए, कुछ अभी भी साथ हैं. बट उन सब में एक चीज मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ कि अगर लिटिगेशन में आना है तो लिटिगेशन में आने के लिए you have to have a combination of so many things. You know, you should be, first of all, you should be patient. पेशेंट का मतलब ये नहीं है कि शुरू में पैसे कम मिल रहे हैं तो पेशेंट उसका पेशेंस है. पेशेंट मीन्स इवन इफ यू आर नॉट गेटिंग अ मैटर इन अ पर्टिकुलर मंथ, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि अगले महीने छोड़ के आप कॉर्पोरेट ज्वाइन कर लो. देयर वुड बी चैलेंजेस. एक कॉर्पोरेट की जॉब में एक सिक्योरिटी होती है कि यार महीने के एंड में मुझे 1 लाख रुपए मिल गए या 5 लाख रुपए मिल गए या 50,000 रुपए मिल गए. दैट्स अ सिक्योरिटी फॉर यू. फॉर लिटिगेटिंग लॉयर दैट सिक्योरिटी इज नॉट देयर. Some month you would earn maybe 5 lakh rupees, in another month you would not even earn 50,000 rupees. And for a newcomer, I mean, even earning 50,000 is a very good sum, I would say. तो एक तो पेशेंस होना बहुत जरूरी है. फिर जितना पढ़ोगे उतना ही ज्यादा आगे बढ़ोगे. यू नो, द मोर यू रीड, आई मीन, नो इट्स नॉट, मैं वो एक पुरानी कहावत नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, बट एक अच्छे लॉयर को रीडिंग की हैबिट होना जरूरी है. मैं बहुत सारे जूनियर्स को अभी भी कहता हूँ कि आपको खाली टाइम में बैठ के अगर आई मीन start reading some judgment only. I mean, in my office there is a junior who joined last week. So I told her that your job for next 2 months is not to do any drafting, but to just read my files. What I have drafted over the years, जो कल 5 फाइल लग रही है उन सबको you have to go through from top to bottom, which means when I write in the Honorable High Court of Rajasthan at Jaipur bench, Jaipur, the cause title, the subject matter, the how I start the first paragraph and how I end the last paragraph, and how I draft the grounds, and how I we draft a prayer, and then how I draft the affidavit also. Till the time you don't go through all these things, you can't become a good litigating lawyer. I mean, for that matter, drafting is even important for even non-litigating lawyers also. So, for a good litigating lawyer, drafting is also a must. Till the time you don't draft things, you can't argue. See, अभी बहुत बड़ी cities में तो अभी भी जैसे दिल्ली बॉम्बे में पहले से practice चलती थी of counsel practice. So there used to be solicitors and there used to be counsels. But in smaller cities, that concept is not there. Here, a counsel and a solicitor is the same person. I would get the matter, I would draft it, and I would also argue it. तो बहुत बड़ी सिटीज में तो बात अलग है कि यहाँ पे आप काउंसिल प्रैक्टिस भी ओवर द इयर्स 10-15 years डाउन द लाइन शुरू कर सकते हो. बट टू स्टार्ट काउंसिल प्रैक्टिस ऑल्सो यू नीड टू नो हाउ टू डू अ गुड ड्राफ्टिंग. और ड्राफ्टिंग के लिए जरूरी है, जब तक आप 50-100 ड्राफ्ट 200 ड्राफ्ट अपने सामने से नहीं निकालोगे ना, अपने सीनियर के बनाए हुए, आप तब तक ड्राफ्टिंग सीख नहीं सकते. आपको डे वन जब स्कूल में आपको एक एप्लीकेशन लिखने को बोला गया था टू राइट लीव एप्लीकेशन, तभी आपने पूछा था कि किसको कैसे बनाना है. आपको पहले दिन से तो याद नहीं था कि कैसे हाउ टू ड्राफ्ट लीव एप्लीकेशन. सिमिलर इज द थिंग हियर. If you want to draft even a small application to be presented in court, you should know how to start it. तो उस चीज को एक I mean, so that's very important. One for a new litigating lawyer, patience is a must, reading habit is a must, and learn how to draft good is a must. And then we talked about dealing clients also. Client for you is like he's paying you for, I mean, he's making you win your bread and butter. So that's very important that you deal with your clients in such fashion that they come and they get retained with you. तो ये सब चीज़ ज़रूरी हैं. And then rest, I mean, if I talk about my example also, कई बार चीज़ें अपने आप चलती भी जब आप एक चीज़ के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा पैशनेट हो जाते हो तो अपने आप the things fall in place. आपने लॉ फर्म में काम किया, आपने छोड़ा, फिर आपको अपने आप ही काउंसिल स्टेट के अपॉइंट हो गए, फिर आप सेंट्रल काउंसिल अपॉइंट हो गए, तो धीरे धीरे कई बार चीजें चलती जाती हैं, आपको पता नहीं चलता है. 12 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line when you think back, you see that यार ये चीज अपने आप हो गई थी, ये चीज तो मैंने सोची भी नहीं थी. So things fall in place once you have the right intent कि मुझे भागना नहीं है इस फील्ड से. So that's about it.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much, sir. It was indeed really, inspiring and knowledgeable, because I myself I mean, I am also targeting litigation, so it was very pertinent for me to get these knowledge. I mean, my father is always there, but still, I mean, the level of understanding that you and I have, being, I mean, my father and I, we have a generational gap, so it's a difference there. So, I mean, I'm very thankful to you, and I hope that from this podcast, the listeners of these podcasts also get a good grip and get motivated to go for litigation. So thank you so much for giving time for this podcast, and HNLU is always thankful for your presence.
No, it's my pleasure, speaking first. HNLU students, I mean, जब नाम भी आया था ना कि एक्चुअली के लिए कुछ करना है, तो एक अपने आप ही एक अंदर से दैट फील कम्स इन, हाँ यार, आई विल डेफिनेटली, आई एम ऑलवेज देयर. So, and for people want to pursue litigation, people want to intern in the litigation field, you people are always welcome in my office. My office is always open. I mean, in my office in the last 5-7 years, I have 2-3 juniors from HNLU, and several HNLU students have interned with us in last couple of years. So my office is always open. We have proper internship procedure here. Uh, ask your students, the juniors, or maybe students studying at HNLU to apply for internships, and we are always there to make you learn and make you get towards this side, make you go towards this side.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
My
I'm
pleasure.
really
My
so
pleasure. Yes, Vardhan.
ending with this post. Ending with this podcast. Thank you for tuning into Hack Podcast series. So we'll be right back with another episode. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day, sir.
Good day.